Hello there, it's Margie here, and I'm recording this message in the midst of what I think is probably one of the most turbulent and disruptive periods of my life, and in terms of what's happening in response to the ongoing and escalating threat of COVID-19. Of course, right now there is a lot of things. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of things that are outside our control, and pretty much every hour we get updates that cause a lot of anxiety for many people. There is enormous uncertainty. But it's at times like this, we have to be all the more intentional about how we manage ourselves. There is so much outside our control. There's so much that we can't do, and there's so much we cannot predict. We don't know what's coming next. It's enormously volatile, and it's enormously uncertain for everybody in all corners of the world. So as you think about your situation, your problems, and your concerns and anxieties, I encourage you to do these 4 things. Firstly, focus in on what strengthens you. Focus in on what helps you feel stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So physically, make sure you're doing what will set your immune system up to ward off a virus should you actually be infected by COVID-19. We know that this is a very virulent virus, but not everybody is being impacted by it, and many people are having really mild symptoms. So stressing about getting sick actually only puts us at more risk of getting sick. Whereas when we're really intentional about taking care of ourselves and doing what actually bolsters our immune system, eating well, getting exercise, emotionally, avoiding getting caught up in lots of anxiety-ridden conversations, mentally, focusing on what are your top priorities, what are the things that you need to attend to right now. It's awfully easy to focus on all of the problems. Where are there opportunities here? What are the things that you can do with your time over the next day, week, month that will actually help you move forward in your business, in your career? There is always opportunities in this. And spiritually, so, what do I mean by spiritually? Well, all of us, are spiritual beings, I think, having a physical experience. And when we're connected to something that's bigger than ourselves, it actually helps us ride out those storms better. So what do you need to do to take care of your spirit right now? And connecting in with people around you, being out in nature, doing whatever. If you have spiritual practices, double down on those things. Secondly, be really anchored to your core values. I wrote about the concept of self-certainty in my new book, You've Got This, and how important it is during times of adversity to be really anchored into internal, intrinsic core values, such as compassion, such as integrity, such as community, such as contribution, the things that give us a sense of purpose and meaning in our lives, versus external values such as money and position and all of those things that can be very nurturing and feeding to the ego, but actually when we're in periods like this can leave us feeling incredibly ungrounded. So what do you need to do to be grounded to the values that really give you the strongest sense of identity? And when you're living in alignment with your core values, with your highest values, it actually boosts your immune system and it leaves you in a state of eustress versus distress. Distress that's what actually lowers our immune system function. So just keep coming back to what is it that matters most right now? What is it that's within your control? And with what's within your control is your choice to live from your values. Thirdly, arm yourself with facts and not with all of the sensationalism and all of the latest gossip and conspiracy theories and speculation. I know that the news channels, the media, obviously this is the news story of, feels like the century, and right now. And so just be careful you don't get swept up into all of the drama, because it's so easy to do that. Fear is a highly contagious emotion. And what we're seeing right now is enormous emotional contagion. And as I wrote in my most recent Forbes column, my concern isn't actually the threat to life of COVID-19 as much as the threat to our lives and livelihoods of this emotional contagion of how we're responding to this virus. And I believe that you know, the fallout from it could be far greater than the virus itself, the cost to our life and our livelihoods, if we're not stepping back and really arming ourselves with the facts, being smart about, you know, taking necessary precautions. I'm not saying we don't have to change what we're doing and how we're doing it, but we have to be really careful not to get pulled up into the drama of it all. And when you talk about what's causing stress, it actually creates more stress. And then that becomes your lived experience as one just of being completely stressed out and in a nightmare state. So at any moment, we can take a big breath and we can choose to be calm. And so I encourage you to do that. And finally, the fourth thing is to look for opportunities in this period. We have to be flexible. We have to be adaptable. I do a lot of speaking, and of course my events around the world have been cancelled or postponed, flights, you name it. There's been enormous disruption to my own business, and I'm sure there's been enormous disruption to yours as well. But within every adversity is opportunity, and often it's hidden from us because often we're focused so much on the doors that are closing and the things we can't do that we're not actually being creative and looking at, well, what are the things we can do? Right now, people have time, or they're in a different workplace. Maybe you're at home. There's opportunities right now for learning, for doing things. Maybe there's time that you have that you wouldn't ordinarily have. You're not spending it commuting. You're not spending on planes. Maybe there's ways for you to connect more creatively with people in your team, to be more innovative in how you deliver your services or the way you're communicating with your peers, with your colleagues, with your teams, with your customers. Innovation always comes out of a necessity. And if you think about it, you know, it is necessity where we often come up with new ideas and better ideas. And if history's taught us anything, it's that humanity, we human beings, can be incredibly ingenious when we need to be. And right now is a time where we all have opportunities to be creative in what we're doing and how we're doing what we're doing. And so as you go through what's going on right now, I just encourage you to just double down on the things that help you feel stronger, help you be more focused, and avoid getting pulled into the whole downward spiral of anxiety, because fear derails our decision making and keeps us from taking the very actions that would ultimately allow us to emerge through this stormy time better off. And I know it's going to have an enormous amount of fallout and impact on many, many people's lives, my own included, my own family scattered around the world. But I also know that when we are committed to finding ways of approaching things in a positive way, we can come out of these things actually better off in who we are, in our ability to be resilient, in our ability to connect with other people, and of course, you know, in how we impact, inspire, embolden, and it sometimes maybe calm down the people around us. This is a time for leadership. And if you're in a leadership role, you've never had a better opportunity to demonstrate the leader that you are. All right, take care.